I couldn't stop coming to see my loved ones, says visitor before opening pantheons at the celebration of Day of the Dead. Mexican actor Octavio Caña, well-known character in the series Vecinos, dies. America's forests on fire. The consequences are becoming more apparent. Argentina and Chile are facing a historic drought, as in the case in the Paraná. This and more on GMO. Welcome once again to your limbo, while you get your visa to go anywhere outside Latin America. This week, the world went crazy as usual, but today we're only talking about the most serious issues. You know, the ones that really knock us out. Karen, I know you bring some exciting news.
In the general news we have, in Sudan there was a military coup where the transitional prime minister of that country was arrested, as well as four other ministers. The Sudanese Professional Association has called on resistance committees, mentioning that they confront the military coup. This consequently caused demonstrations and shootings, resulting in 80 wounded and 2 dead. This can cause a lot of political instability in the country because now it has an uncertainty of who is going to govern and what laws will change as a result. The president of Taiwan declares that there is a U.S. military presence within her country, mentioning that it has a high cooperation with that country. This without specifying the exact number of soldiers found on the island. This statement may continue to increase the tension between the three countries, especially on the part of China, because they consider that the simple fact that US soldiers are there is an invasion of their sovereignty, since they always consider Taiwan as their territory. A meeting of the G20 was held in Rome, which discussed issues such as the climate emergency, mentioning that the poorest countries will obtain funds in order to seek to improve climate conditions. It was mentioned that the COVID-19 pandemic and the objective of obtaining the majority of the population vaccinated. And finally, mention was made of a fiscal revolution in which a tax would be imposed on multinationals and fiscal giants. On the other hand, in the world panorama, the disagreement between the United Kingdom and France continues to grow due to the invasion of English territory by the French with their fishing boats. All this because she was summoned to the French ambassador in London, where she was given the message of irritation by the English people. Before this call, the French government had given the United Kingdom an ultimatum, given the limit of solution of the problems on November 3rd of this year. If these countries do not reach an agreement in which it can benefit both parties, it can result in enormous economic consequences for them. In certain areas, they are dependent on each other. The European Commission sanctions Poland with a fine of 1 million euros a day because the country has not suspended the disciplinary mechanism of judges. All this because it threatens the independence of the judges, and in the case of refusing to pay, it will be discontinued of funds corresponding to the country. If Poland does not provide an immediate solution to the problem, it will result in direct consequences for this, since it will not have the planned budgets that were going to be used for its development.
Thank you, Karen. Alejandro, let's see what you got.
Now, for news of Mexico. I couldn't stop coming to see my loved ones, says visitor before opening pantheons at the celebration of Day of Death. The pantheons of Mexico receive more than 1 million visitors as a part of the celebration of the Day of Death. According to figures from the capital government, CNN visited the Dolores Civil Pantheon, one of the 120 that welcome the traditional Mexican celebration. In other things, the Mexican actor Octavio Cuña, well-known character in the series Vecinos, dies. Ocaña was driving a pickup truck that crashes on the Chamba Lecheria highway in the state of Mexico. Two people who were him in the vehicle were arrested by the public ministry to give their version of the fact. In the inspection carried out on the van where the person who lost his life was traveling at two other subjects, a firearm, a shell casing, and ballistic evidence were found on the roof of the unit, just at the head of the driver. The FGR of the state of Mexico said in Facebook post. Now for Latin America, America's forest on fire. Wildfires suffocate America. In the second half of the 2021, tens of thousands of hectares were swept away by the flames, from California to the southern cone. In it later reported the International Panel of Climate Changes IPCC reports on the serious deterioration of the region forest. The consequences are becoming more apparent. Argentina and Chile are facing historic drought, as is the case in the Panama River. The state of California in the United States has registered 2.5 million hectares affected by the fires. Unprecedented heat waves have hit Canada, and record-breaking deforestation has devoured Brazil. The consequences of the climate change are already irreversible, experts insist. Now, for last one, Luis Alfredo Gravito, the Beast, the worst serial killer in the world, will not be released from the prison soon. The controversy occurred after the television report in the program Los Informantes of Caracol Television, in which it was reported in the INPEC requests the conditional release of the Luis Alfredo Gravitor, a child predator who raped and killed almost 200 of them in the 90s, and who placed 40 years in prison since 1999. Grapito, the world's worst serial killer, pays his sentence in the La Tramacua prisons, Veladepur, a city in northern Colombia.
Thank you, Alejandro. As always, your news are the most exciting and the most worrying ones. Let's see what Susie has for us.
The Inter-American Commission on Human Rights again expressed the concern on Thursday about the situation of migrants who have been expelled from the United States under the rule that seeks to prevent the spread of the pandemic and remain in Mexico or have been returned to their home country. Each Commissioner Edgar Stuart declared himself quite concerned about the dramatic situation exposed by the civil society organization that took part today in a public hearing organized by this Washington-based body. Nicole Elizabeth Ramos from the organization Al Otro Lado, based in Tijuana, Mexico, recount the cases of people who have arrived at the border in search of asylum and have come across Title 42, which authorizes the explicit expulsion of those who enter irregularly to the United States to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Ramos pointed out that between mid-June and mid-August of this year, almost 83% of all the people who sought asylum suffered attack of threats at the border, and he complained that the United States government did so nothing that sends those people to die while he expels them. It is true of Yael Sachi of the organization Refugees International said that from March 2020 until last September, 1,163 people were expelled from the United States, Title 42. Well, let's continue for Latin culture. 10 things that you probably didn't know about Panama. The first, this country has no hurricanes. Panama is south of path of the hurricanes, so it's never affected by this meteorological phenomena. 2. His national sport is baseball. 3. The official currency of Panama is Balboa, but the United States dollar is accepted in business legally and tax-free. 4. All ships that cross from Panama Canal must pay a toll, which generates a third of the country's economy. This canal began its construction in 1881 and was inoperated from 1940. 5. Is the only place in the world where you can see the sunrise in the Atlantic Ocean and the sunset in the Pacific Ocean on the same day. The country is only 80 kilometers wide. 6. It has the second largest duty-free zone, duty-free, where hundreds of thousands of people come to make purchases each year. 7. The fauna it houses is immense and totally incredible. In addition to being surrounded by a complex and wonderful forest, Panama is the only capital in the world surrounded by a tropical forest. Imagine the vacation you can have while there. 8. The Aten Valley is a population of 700 inhabitants, nestled in the crater of an inactive volcano. 9. The Panama hat is not original from this nation, but is from Ecuador, despite being something totally emblematic of this country. 10. The lowest toll paid across the canal was 36 cents, paid by American athlete Richard Herbold when he swam the canal in 1928.
Oh, but wait, we have another special, and we will talk about 12 things that you don't know about Peru. The first one is that Peru became a Spanish colony in 1572. The Spanish conquered the once powerful Inca Empire. Like Titicaca is not the highest lake in the world. Wow! 4. Peru is a mega diverse country. 5. Peru became independent in 1821. 4% of the world's fresh water is in Peru. 7. The source of the Amazon River is actually in Peru. 8. 13% of the Amazon rainforest is found in Peru. 9. A large portion of the Andes lies in Peru. 10. Peruvians speak Spanish and a whole lot of the other languages like Quechua and Aymara. 11. Talk of officially is Catholic. Many Amerindian traditions continue. 12. Machu Picchu was actually a private state of the Inca Empire. 13. Salt farming is still practiced in the same way as the Incas. 14. Peru had to change its currency twice in the 19th and 90s. 15. Ancient Peruvians used to talk with notes. Well, that's so strange. But 16. Ceviche is originated by Peru. 17. Peru boasts over 3,000 varieties of potato. Well, 18. Peru is home to the oldest continuously working Indian university in the Americas. 19. Lima is the third biggest city in the Americas. 20. There's a lot of corn in Peru. Well, we could do some esquites. 21st. Peru is home of the Nazca lines. The mysterious is in Peru. 22. Peruvians eat guinea pigs. Well, that sounds so strange. 23. Pan pies are from Peru, but the siku is from the country. 24. Ancient Peruvians used to surf.
Well, 25, and the last one. People live on the Lake Titicaca on floating island made of grass. So curious, that country, don't you think?
Alright, folks, I know you don't want to be in Latin America anymore, but until you get your ticket to get the hell out of here, let's hang around next week on the same place at the same time. Peace out.